Imagine being stuck in the same routine, dreaming of a better life, but not knowing how to escape. This is Alex's story, a barista who dared to chase his dream and became an IT millionaire. Watch how he did it. Alex, at 25, felt like a cog in a meticulously oiled, yet ultimately monotonous machine. The daily grind, the coffee shop where he worked, was exactly that, a daily grind. He wasn't necessarily unhappy, but a persistent, low-humming dissatisfaction vibrated beneath the surface of his routine. His days began before sunrise, the aroma of roasting beans a jarring alarm clock rather than an enticing invitation. He'd arrived to the pre-dawn quiet, the only sound the hum of the refrigerators and the rhythmic swish of the cleaning mop. Opening duties were a litany of repetitive tasks: wiping down counters, stocking pastries, calibrating the espresso machine, and arranging the sugar packets just so. Then the doors would open, and the human tide would begin. A relentless stream of bleary-eyed commuters, chatty students, and the occasional eccentric artist, all united by their craving for caffeine. Alex knew their orders by heart: Sarah's usual dry cappuccino, Mark's double espresso, Mrs. Gable's vanilla latte with extra foam. He could assemble them in his sleep, a testament to the sheer repetition that had become his life. He'd navigate the morning rush with practiced efficiency, pulling shots, steaming milk, and calling out names, his voice a practiced cadence above the din. He'd plaster on a smile, offering a cheerful "good morning," even when his own felt anything but. There were moments of genuine connection, a shared joke with a regular, a kind word from a grateful customer. But these were fleeting islands in a sea of repetitive tasks. The afternoons brought a lull, a brief respite from the intensity of the morning. He'd wipe down tables, sweep floors, and restock supplies, the silence broken only by the soft jazz playing on the speakers. But even in the quiet, the monotony lingered. He felt like he was simply going through the motions, a robot programmed to perform the same set of actions day after day. Evenings were no different. The trickle of customers turning into a steady flow again, as people stopped by after work for a pick-me-up or a sweet treat. More orders to take, more drinks to make, more spills to clean. Then, finally, the closing ritual: emptying the cash register, wiping down the machines, locking the doors, and setting the alarm. He'd trudge home, exhausted but strangely unfulfilled, the scent of coffee clinging to his clothes like a persistent reminder of his mundane existence. It wasn't just the repetitive tasks that bothered him. It was the feeling of being stuck. He saw his life stretching out before him, a long, unbroken chain of coffee orders and cleaning rags. He yearned for something more, a challenge, a purpose, a way to make a real difference. He felt like he was capable of so much more, but he didn't know how to break free from the gravitational pull of his routine. Amidst the daily grind, Alex began to notice things, small inefficiencies that, when compounded over time, added up to significant problems. The long lines that snaked out the door during peak hours, the frustrated sighs of customers waiting impatiently for their orders, the order mix-ups, the wasted ingredients, the slow service. He realized that the coffee shop, for all its charm and popularity, was plagued by operational inefficiencies. He started mentally brainstorming solutions, sketching out ideas on napkins during his breaks. A digital ordering system to reduce wait times, a more efficient inventory management system to minimize waste, a streamlined payment process to speed up transactions. He saw the potential to transform the coffee shop, to make it more efficient, more customer-friendly, and more profitable. One particular afternoon, while wiping down the counter, a regular customer, an older gentleman named Mr. Evans, struck up a conversation with Alex. Mr. Evans was a programmer, now retired, who frequented the coffee shop for his daily dose of caffeine and a quiet place to read. He'd often observe Alex, noticing his quick wit and his ability to handle even the most demanding customers with grace. "You know, Alex," Mr. Evans said, sipping his black coffee, "you have a very analytical mind. You're always thinking, always problem-solving. Have you ever considered learning to code?" Alex chuckled. "Coding? Me? I barely know how to use a computer beyond taking orders." Mr. Evans smiled. "That's the beauty of it. Anyone can learn to code. It's just a matter of learning the language. And you, my boy, seem to have a knack for languages, of a different kind of course, but still languages." He went on to explain the basics of programming, the logic behind it, and the endless possibilities it offered. He talked about the power of software to solve problems, to automate tasks, and to create new opportunities. He planted a seed in Alex's mind, a seed of curiosity and possibility. "Think about it, Alex," Mr. Evans said before heading out. "You see all these inefficiencies in the coffee shop. Coding could give you the tools to fix them." Alex dismissed the idea at first, but Mr. Evans's words lingered in his mind. He couldn't shake the image of himself, not just serving coffee, but building something, creating something. That night, he went home and did some research online. He Googled "coding for beginners" and "how to learn to code." He stumbled upon information about coding boot camps, intensive programs that promised to teach aspiring programmers the skills they needed to launch a career in tech. He felt overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, the complex jargon, and the seemingly endless possibilities. But he was also excited, a spark of hope igniting within him. He imagined himself, not just as a barista, but as a software developer, a problem solver, a creator. He started calculating the financial implications. Coding boot camps were expensive, costing thousands of dollars. He'd have to quit his job at the coffee shop, losing his only source of income. He'd have to live frugally, cutting back on expenses and sacrificing his social life. It was a huge risk, a leap of faith into the unknown. He talked to his friends and family about his idea. Most of them were skeptical, questioning his sanity. "Coding? You? You're a barista, Alex. Stick to what you know." But a few of them, his close friends, saw the spark in his eyes and encouraged him to pursue his dreams. He spent weeks agonizing over the decision, weighing the pros and cons, calculating the risks and rewards. He knew it wouldn't be easy. He'd have to work hard, dedicate himself completely, and overcome countless obstacles. But he also knew that he couldn't continue living a life of quiet desperation, a life of unfulfilled potential. The monotony of another shift at the daily grind was the final push. The same faces, the same orders, the same repetitive motions. As he wiped down the counter, he felt a surge of determination. He couldn't ignore the call to code any longer. That night, Alex made a tentative decision. He would explore coding further. He would research coding boot camps, compare programs, and assess his options. He would start learning the basics of programming, experimenting with different languages, and building small projects. He would take the first step on a journey that could potentially transform his life. The desire for a more meaningful and challenging career had finally outweighed the fear of the unknown. The latte dreams were slowly morphing into code dreams, and Alex was ready to wake up and start building. Alex grappled with the enormity of his decision. Quitting his steady, albeit soul-crushing job at the daily grind felt like stepping off a cliff. He tossed and turned in bed, the scent of stale coffee clinging to his clothes and the anxieties swirling in his mind. Was he really cut out for this? He'd spent years perfecting latte art, not lines of code. Doubts, like persistent coffee stains, refused to fade. His friends and family didn't exactly shower him with encouragement. His mom, bless her heart, worried about his financial stability. Coding, Alex? What happened to being a manager at the daily grind? His best friend, Mark, a mechanic, chuckled. You? A computer geek? Last time I checked, you couldn't even fix your own printer. Their skepticism stung, but Alex understood. They were looking out for him, projecting their own fears. But something had shifted within him. Mr. Evans's suggestion ignited a dormant desire for something more. He couldn't ignore it, even if it meant facing ridicule and uncertainty. He dove into researching coding boot camps. The sticker shock was significant. The tuition fee was a hefty sum, practically his entire savings. He crunched the numbers, factoring in living expenses, potential income loss, and the ever-present threat of ramen noodle dinners. To make it work, Alex doubled down on his efforts at the daily grind. He volunteered for extra shifts. He even picked up a side gig delivering pizzas in the evenings, his trusty bicycle becoming his chariot in the urban jungle. Every dollar earned felt like a victory, a step closer to his dream. He meticulously tracked his expenses, cutting back on everything he deemed non-essential. No more fancy lattes. Black coffee was his new fuel. He canceled his streaming subscriptions and swapped takeout for home-cooked meals. His apartment, already Spartan, became even more minimalist. He was living and breathing coding boot camp even before he'd officially enrolled. The day he finally approached his manager, Mrs. Davison, to give his notice, a wave of mixed emotions washed over him. "Mrs. Davison," Alex began, his voice slightly shaky, "I need to talk to you about something. I'm going to be leaving the daily grind." He explained his plans, the coding boot camp, the desire to build something of his own. To his surprise, Mrs. Davison listened patiently, her expression thoughtful. "Alex," she said, her voice gentle, "I always knew you were capable of more than just pouring coffee. Just promise me, when you're a famous tech mogul, you won't forget the little coffee shop that gave you your start." He felt a surge of gratitude for her understanding and support. The introductory session at Code Warriors Academy was a whirlwind of new faces and unfamiliar jargon. The other aspiring programmers seemed younger, more confident, and already fluent in the language of computers. There was a girl with bright pink hair and multiple piercings, a former accountant in a crisp suit. Despite his initial apprehension, Alex found himself drawn to their shared enthusiasm. They were all there for the same reason: to learn, to create, to change their lives. The instructor, a charismatic programmer named Ethan, welcomed them with a contagious energy. "Welcome, future code warriors," Ethan exclaimed, his voice booming through the room. "You're about to embark on an incredible journey. A journey that will challenge you, frustrate you, and ultimately transform you." He outlined the curriculum, the tools they would be using, and the expectations for the program. It was an intense, immersive experience, designed to turn complete beginners into job-ready developers in a matter of months. Alex listened intently, absorbing every word. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, a potent combination that fueled his determination. He knew this wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to put in the work, to push himself beyond his comfort zone, to embrace the challenge. The day he officially enrolled in Code Warriors Academy and quit his job at the Daily Grind was a pivotal moment. He walked out of the coffee shop for the last time, a sense of liberation washing over him. He was leaving behind the monotony, the predictability, the feeling of being stuck. He looked back at the daily grind, the familiar aroma of coffee still clinging to the air. It had been his sanctuary, his source of income, his training ground. He owed it a debt of gratitude. But it was time to move on, to pursue his dreams, to build his own future. The first few weeks at Code Warriors Academy were overwhelming. New concepts, unfamiliar languages, endless debugging sessions. He struggled at first, feeling lost among classmates who seemed far more experienced. Late nights turned into early mornings. Coffee became his lifeline once again, but now for a different reason. Slowly, things started to click. Functions, loops, and algorithms that once felt like a foreign language began making sense. He built his first basic app, a simple task manager. It wasn't much, but it was his creation. Encouraged by his progress, he kept pushing forward, diving deeper into complex projects. The bootcamp's job placement program introduced him to potential employers, but competition was fierce. He faced multiple rejections. Each one stung, but he refused to give up. Промпт. Алекс смотрит на письмо отказа на своем телефоне, решимость в его глазах. Then, one day, an opportunity arose. A promising tech startup was looking for junior developers. He gave it everything he had, showcasing his passion and problem-solving skills. The email arrived. "Congratulations! We'd love to have you on board." His journey wasn't over, but the dream he once thought was impossible had become real. Months passed, and Alex thrived. He quickly climbed the ranks, his skills growing exponentially. His first paycheck as a software developer was more than he ever made in months as a barista. He started investing, learning financial strategies, and planning for his future. 1 year later, he wasn't just a coder, he was a startup founder. The business took off, securing funding and growing rapidly. The same coffee shop where he once served lattes, now he owned it. His story spread. Newspapers, blogs, and podcasts featured his rise from barista to tech mogul. He proved that change is possible, that dreams aren't just for the lucky few. If you feel stuck, remember Alex's story. Your future isn't written yet. The path to success isn't about luck. It's about taking that first step, no matter how uncertain. Every great success story starts with a moment of doubt. But what separates achievers is their willingness to act. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, it will never come. The time to start is now. It won't be easy. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of frustration. But those who keep pushing forward despite the obstacles are the ones who succeed. 1 year from now, you could be in the same place, or you could be telling your own success story. The decision is yours. Will you let fear hold you back, or will you take that first step? The world is full of possibilities for those who dare to chase them. Prompt. A wide shot of Alex standing on a rooftop, looking out over a futuristic city skyline. If Alex could do it, so can you. Every expert was once a beginner. Prompt. A motivational poster-style image with Alex's before and after transformation. So don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. Your future self will thank you. Success is built one small step at a time. Take that first step now. Your dream is closer than you think. Go after it. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and walked towards the unknown. A coffee shop barista turned aspiring code warrior, ready to conquer the world. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and walked towards the unknown. A coffee shop barista turned aspiring code warrior, ready to conquer the world. Alex dove headfirst into the Code Warriors Academy bootcamp, quickly discovering that his initial excitement was about to be tempered by a harsh dose of reality. The first week felt like being thrown into the deep end of an ocean filled with cryptic symbols and alien vocabulary. He was surrounded by terms like variables, functions, and algorithms, each one sounding more intimidating than the last. The instructors, while clearly knowledgeable, spoke in a language that seemed designed to confuse rather than clarify. He struggled. Syntax errors became his daily bread. Debugging felt like searching for a needle in a haystack. Only the haystack was constantly shifting, and the needle was invisible. He would spend hours staring at his screen, lines of code blurring together, desperately trying to understand why his program wouldn't cooperate. Frustration mounted, and he began to question his decision. The other students seemed to be coping better. Some had prior experience, while others simply grasped the concepts faster. Self-doubt crept in, whispering insidious thoughts in his ear. He missed the simplicity of making lattes, the familiar rhythm of the coffee shop, the comforting routine of his old life. One particularly grueling afternoon, after spending 3 hours trying to fix a single stubborn bug, Alex nearly gave up. As he sat there, stewing in his frustration, a voice broke through his gloom. Having a rough time? He looked up to see Sarah, a woman a few years older than him, with a kind smile and a calm demeanor. Rough is an understatement, Alex admitted, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. I feel like I'm drowning. Everyone else seems to get it, but I'm just lost. Sarah chuckled softly. Trust me, everyone feels lost at some point. Coding is like learning a new language. She sat down next to him, pulling up a chair. What's the problem? Alex hesitantly reopened his laptop, pointing to the offending lines of code. Sarah patiently walked him through the program, explaining each line, identifying the error, and suggesting a solution. See? She said, after Alex had successfully corrected the bug. It's just a matter of breaking down the problem into smaller pieces and tackling them one at a time. That afternoon marked a turning point for Alex. Sarah became his mentor, his guide through the treacherous terrain of the coding boot camp. She shared her knowledge, offered encouragement, and helped him develop a systematic approach to problem solving. She introduced him to online resources like Stack Overflow and GitHub, coding communities where he could ask questions and learn from other developers. She showed him how to use debugging tools effectively, transforming the frustrating process into a methodical investigation. Sarah's impact extended beyond just technical skills. She instilled in Alex a sense of confidence. She reminded him that everyone starts somewhere, and that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. She taught him the importance of perseverance, urging him to keep going even when things got tough. The most important thing is to never give up, she told him one evening, as they were working late on a particularly challenging assignment. Coding is a marathon, not a sprint. With Sarah's guidance, Alex began to make significant progress. He started to understand the fundamental concepts of programming. He learned to think like a programmer, breaking down complex problems into smaller, more manageable steps. One evening, after weeks of struggling, Alex experienced his first real breakthrough. He was working on a simple program that calculated the area of a triangle, and after hours of trial and error, he finally got it to work. A surge of accomplishment washed over him, a feeling of pure, unadulterated joy. It was a small victory, but it felt like a monumental achievement. He ran to find Sarah, eager to share his success. "I did it!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. Sarah smiled, genuinely pleased for him. "I knew you could do it," she said. "See, you're a programmer now." That moment solidified Alex's commitment to coding. He realized that he was capable of learning and mastering this new skill. He started spending late nights coding, driven by a desire to learn more and build something meaningful. He devoured online tutorials, experimented with different programming languages, and tinkered with various software development tools. He began to see the potential of software development, the power to create and innovate, to solve problems and improve lives. The coffee shop, once a symbol of his unfulfilling existence, now seemed like a distant memory. He was no longer just a barista, serving lattes and wiping tables. He was a coder, a builder, a creator. He also found that his experience as a barista gave him a unique perspective. He understood the frustrations of dealing with long lines, complicated orders, and inefficient systems. As the weeks passed, Alex's confidence grew. He wasn't just surviving the boot camp, he was thriving. He was actively participating in class discussions, helping other students, and even contributing to open-source projects. He was no longer the intimidated, uncertain barista who had walked through the doors of Code Warriors Academy. He was a confident, capable coder, ready to take on the world. And he knew, with Sarah by his side, that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. The first lines of code had been difficult, but they had opened up a whole new world of possibilities. Alex and Sarah huddled over a shared laptop, the glow of the screen illuminating their faces in the otherwise dim room. Empty ramen containers and scattered notes littered the desk, a testament to their late-night coding sessions. They were building something real, something tangible, a mobile app that would let customers order coffee ahead of time and skip the dreaded morning queue. It was more than just a coding project. It was a culmination of Alex's barista experience, Sarah's technical expertise, and a shared desire to solve a common problem. The app, tentatively named Skip the Grind, was deceptively simple on the surface, but beneath the sleek user interface lay a complex web of code, designed to handle everything from user authentication and menu display to order management and payment processing. Alex, drawing on his intimate knowledge of the daily grind's operations, was instrumental in defining the app's core features. "Remember how Mrs. Davison always complained about the bottlenecks during the morning rush?" Alex said, pointing to a section of the code. "This popular orders feature will learn from past orders and suggest frequently chosen combinations. It'll save customers time and reduce order errors." Sarah nodded, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Smart! I've integrated a recommendation algorithm that analyzes order history and suggests items based on customer preferences. It's like having a virtual barista who knows your usual." The development process wasn't without its challenges. Designing the user interface proved to be more difficult than they had anticipated. They spent hours debating the placement of buttons, the color schemes, and the overall look and feel of the app. Alex, with his eye for aesthetics honed from arranging pastries in the display case, pushed for a clean and intuitive design. Sarah, focused on functionality, ensured that the app was responsive and easy to navigate. Integrating a secure payment gateway was another hurdle. They researched various options, weighing factors like transaction fees, security protocols, and ease of integration. Finally, they settled on a platform that offered a balance of security and affordability. "Security is paramount," Sarah emphasized. "We can't afford to compromise customer data. We need to make sure all transactions are encrypted and protected against fraud." Order management also presented its own set of complexities. They needed to design a system that would allow coffee shops to receive orders in real time, track order status, and manage inventory. Alex suggested incorporating a notification system that would alert baristas when a new order was placed, along with details about the customer's preferences and any special requests. As they neared the completion of the initial version of Skip the Grind, Alex and Sarah decided to offer it for free to local coffee shops. They believed that this would be the best way to gain traction and gather feedback. They approached Mrs. Davison at The Daily Grind with their proposition. "Mrs. Davison, we've developed an app that can streamline your coffee ordering process," Alex said, nervously presenting his laptop. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Customers loved the convenience of ordering ahead and skipping the line. Baristas appreciated the improved workflow and the reduction in order errors. Mrs. Davison was thrilled with the increase in efficiency and the positive feedback from customers. Word of Skip the Grind quickly spread to other coffee shops in the area. Alex and Sarah received inquiries from owners who were interested in using the app at their establishments. They realized that they had stumbled upon a valuable solution to a common problem. "People are actually using it, Sarah," Alex said, his voice filled with excitement. The positive feedback and growing demand for Skip the Grind validated their idea and inspired them to further develop the app. They started brainstorming new features and functionalities that would enhance the user experience and provide additional value to coffee shops. The journey from barista to coder was just beginning, and the future was brewing with possibilities. Alex felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach as he adjusted his tie. He hadn't worn one since his brief stint as a busboy years ago. Now, standing outside the bustling convention center, he felt like an imposter. This was the monthly Tech Titans meetup, a gathering of seasoned entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and coding gurus. It was a world away from the familiar aroma of coffee and the comforting rhythm of the espresso machine. He took a deep breath, reminding himself why he was here. Skip the Grind was more than just a class project. It was a solution to a real problem, a testament to his newfound coding skills and, potentially, his ticket out of mediocrity. The sheer energy inside the convention hall was palpable. Hundreds of people milled about, exchanging business cards, animatedly discussing the latest advancements in AI, blockchain, and SaaS solutions. Alex felt a wave of intimidation wash over him. Everyone seemed to know each other, effortlessly navigating the social labyrinth. He clutched a small stack of hastily printed business cards, feeling woefully unprepared. His first few attempts at striking up conversations were disastrous. He stammered, forgot key details about the app, and generally felt like he was speaking a different language. One seasoned-looking investor with a neatly trimmed beard listened politely for all of 30 seconds before excusing himself to grab another coffee. He wandered aimlessly, feeling like a lost caffeine molecule in a sea of silicon. He noticed a small table tucked away in a corner, showcasing a new point-of-sale system designed specifically for restaurants. The presenter, a young woman with bright eyes and an even brighter smile, was struggling to attract attention. Emboldened by her apparent lack of success, Alex approached. "Hi," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "I'm Alex. I noticed your demo. It looks pretty comprehensive." Emily visibly brightened. "Thanks. It's been a tough crowd. Everyone seems obsessed with the next big social media platform. Nobody cares about helping restaurants streamline their operations," Alex chuckled, instantly connecting with her frustration. "Tell me about it." "I developed an app called Skip the Grind that helps coffee shops manage online orders and reduce wait times." Emily's eyes widened. "Really? That's exactly the kind of innovation this industry needs. I'm always waiting in line for my latte. Tell me more." For the next 15 minutes, Alex found himself effortlessly explaining the app's features, benefits, and the positive impact it had already had on the daily grind. "Have you considered integrating loyalty programs?" she asked, "or personalized recommendations based on past orders?" Alex grinned. "We're actually working on those features right now. We're also exploring partnerships with local bakeries and pastry shops to offer bundled deals." Emily was clearly impressed. "This is fantastic, Alex. You've clearly identified a real pain point and created a practical solution. Have you thought about expanding beyond coffee shops?" "We've had a few inquiries from other types of businesses," Alex admitted, "but we haven't really explored those opportunities yet. We're still focused on perfecting the coffee shop model." "Well, you should definitely consider it," Emily said, handing him her business card. "I work for a venture capital firm that specializes in early-stage tech startups. I'd love to introduce you to some of my colleagues." Alex's heart skipped a beat. This was exactly the kind of connection he had been hoping for. "That would be amazing, Emily. Thank you." As Emily moved on to greet another attendee, Alex felt a surge of renewed confidence. He had finally broken through the initial barrier of intimidation and made a meaningful connection. He spent the next hour working the room with a newfound sense of purpose. He approached other attendees, confidently pitching Skip the Grind and collecting business cards. He even managed to secure a brief meeting with a representative from a national coffee chain. Then, as he was about to leave, a man with a warm smile and a neatly trimmed beard approached him. "Excuse me," he said, extending his hand. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation with Emily. I'm David. I own a chain of cafes here in the city." Alex shook his hand, feeling a jolt of excitement. "It's a pleasure to meet you, David. I'm Alex, the creator of Skip the Grind." David's eyes lit up. "I've heard about your app. My customers are constantly complaining about the long wait times during peak hours. I've been looking for a solution like this for ages." Alex launched into his pitch, describing the app's features and benefits with practiced ease. David listened intently, nodding his head in agreement. "I'm impressed, Alex," David said when Alex had finished. "I'd love to integrate Skip the Grind into my cafes. How soon can you get started?" Alex couldn't believe his ears. This was it, his first real customer. "We can start immediately, David. We're ready to customize the app to meet your specific needs." David grinned. "Excellent! Let's grab a coffee and discuss the details." Over the next hour, Alex and David hammered out the terms of their agreement. David was particularly interested in adding loyalty programs and personalized recommendations to the app. He also wanted to integrate it with his existing point-of-sale system. "I want to create a seamless experience for my customers," David explained. "I want them to feel valued and appreciated." Alex assured him that he and Sarah could handle all of David's requests. He left the meetup feeling exhilarated. He had not only made a valuable connection, but also secured his first paying customer. He immediately called Sarah to share the good news. "We did it, Sarah!" he exclaimed. "We landed our first customer. David wants to integrate Skip the Grind into his chain of cafes." Sarah shrieked with excitement. "That's amazing, Alex! I knew you could do it. This is just the beginning." As Alex walked home that evening, he couldn't help but smile. He had come to the Tech Titans meetup feeling like an outsider, a barista lost in a world of code and capital. But he was leaving with a newfound sense of confidence, a valuable connection, and a paying customer. He was no longer just a barista with a dream. He was an entrepreneur, a problem solver, and a coder on the verge of something big. The aroma of coffee still lingered in his memory, but now it was mixed with the scent of opportunity and the sweet taste of success. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready to face it head-on, one line of code, one cup of coffee, and one networking event at a time. The future, he realized, tasted a lot like a perfectly brewed latte, rich, complex, and full of potential. Alex's phone buzzed incessantly, a stark contrast to the rhythmic whir of the espresso machine he'd grown so accustomed to. But now, the ringtones weren't from disgruntled customers complaining about their lattes being too foamy. These were from actual clients, needing websites built, databases designed, and mobile apps launched. David's cafe chain was thriving thanks to Skip the Grind, and word had spread like wildfire through the local business community. Suddenly, Alex wasn't just a coder. He was a sought-after developer. He landed a project with a local bakery, Sweet Surrender, to create an online ordering system. Then came a request from a landscaping company, Green Thumb Gardens, for a client management app. Each project was a new challenge, a fresh puzzle to solve with lines of code. "Another one?" Sarah asked, peering over Alex's shoulder at his buzzing phone. They were crammed into a tiny corner of the Code Warriors Academy, surrounded by empty energy drink cans and crumpled notes. "Yeah, Green Thumb Gardens wants an app to track client appointments, manage inventory, and send out invoices," Alex sighed, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. Sarah chuckled. "Sounds like you're in demand, Mr. Entrepreneur. But seriously, how are we going to juggle all this with the boot camp? We're supposed to be learning, not running a development agency." Alex knew she was right. They were burning the candle at both ends, fueled by caffeine and sheer determination. Late nights were spent coding for clients, followed by early mornings struggling to stay awake during lectures. The pressure was mounting, and the burnout was real. I know, Alex conceded. It's crazy, but the money is good, Sarah. Really good. We could pay off our boot camp loans in no time. Money isn't everything, Alex, Sarah countered, her brow furrowed with concern. We need to focus on learning the fundamentals. If we spread ourselves too thin, we'll end up being mediocre at everything. Days blurred into weeks as they juggled their studies and freelance gigs. Alex found himself losing focus in class, his mind racing with client requests and project deadlines. He started making mistakes, missing key concepts, and falling behind. It was during one particularly grueling project, a complex e-commerce platform for a local artisan shop, that Alex had his aha moment. There has to be an easier way. Why can't there be a platform where small business owners can just customize their own websites and apps without needing to know code? That's it, she exclaimed, snapping her fingers. That's the business. A SaaS platform for small businesses. Instead of building custom solutions for each client, they could create a single platform that offered a suite of customizable tools and features. Small business owners could easily create websites, manage their online presence, and run marketing campaigns, all without writing a single line of code. We need a name, Sarah said, tapping her pen against her notebook. Something catchy, something that reflects our mission. What about Empowerly? Alex suggested. They knew it wouldn't be easy. Building a SaaS platform was a monumental task, requiring significant resources and expertise. But they were no longer just a barista and a coder. They were entrepreneurs with a vision, a mission, and a burning desire to empower small businesses around the world. That night, instead of working on the e-commerce platform for Mrs. Petrov, they stayed up late charting out their new course. They started by identifying the core features of their platform: a drag-and-drop website builder, an integrated e-commerce system, email marketing tools, and social media scheduling. They knew they couldn't build everything at once. They needed to start small, focus on the essential features, and iterate based on user feedback. They decided to adopt a lean startup approach, building a minimum viable product, MVP, and launching it as quickly as possible. We need to validate our idea, Sarah said, her voice laced with determination. We need to get real users on the platform and see if they actually find it useful. Alex agreed. They would reach out to their network of small business owners, including David and Mrs. Petrov, and offer them early access to the platform in exchange for feedback. The decision to pivot was both exhilarating and terrifying. They were abandoning the relative safety of freelance work for the uncertainty of a startup. They were betting everything on their idea, their skills, and their ability to execute. But as Alex looked at Sarah, her eyes shining with passion and determination, he knew they were making the right choice. They were no longer just building websites and apps. They were building a platform for change, a tool for empowerment, a pathway to success for countless small businesses. The journey from coffee to code had taken an unexpected turn, leading them down a path that was both challenging and incredibly rewarding. They were ready to leave the coffee far behind and dive headfirst into the unknown. Alex stared at the crisp business plan Sarah had printed, the words "Empowerly SaaS for Small Business Success" emblazoned across the top. It felt surreal. Just months ago, he was wiping down tables and brewing espressos, and now he was about to walk into a room and pitch a tech startup to potential investors. His palms were sweating. "Ready?" Sarah asked, her voice calm and reassuring. She was a rock, a steady presence that balanced Alex's nervous energy. "As I'll ever be," Alex replied, attempting a confident smile that probably looked more like a grimace. They'd spent weeks refining their pitch, practicing until they could recite it in their sleep. They knew the market, the competition, and their unique value proposition inside and out. But nothing could truly prepare them for the reality of facing a panel of seasoned investors, each with the power to make or break their dreams. The first few pitches were brutal. One investor, a man with a perpetually skeptical expression, dismissed their idea as another generic SaaS platform without even letting them finish their presentation. Another questioned their lack of formal business education, implying that a barista and a coding bootcamp graduate were ill-equipped to run a tech company. "They just don't get it," Alex muttered after a particularly disheartening meeting. "They don't see the problem we're solving." "Maybe we're not explaining it clearly enough," Sarah countered, ever the optimist. "Let's go back to the drawing board and refine our pitch. We need to highlight the pain points of small business owners and demonstrate how Empowerly solves those problems in a unique and affordable way." They spent the next few days dissecting their pitch, focusing on the specific challenges faced by small businesses: the lack of technical expertise, the high cost of traditional software solutions, and the difficulty of competing with larger companies. They emphasized Empowerly's user-friendly interface, its customizable features, and its affordable pricing model. Their persistence paid off. Finally, they secured a meeting with a venture capitalist named Ms. Anya Sharma, a woman known for her sharp business acumen and her willingness to invest in unconventional ideas. Anya listened intently as Alex and Sarah presented their pitch, occasionally asking insightful questions that revealed her deep understanding of the small business market. She was particularly impressed by their passion, their technical expertise, and their clear vision for the future of Empowerly. "I see a lot of potential here," Anya said after they finished their presentation. "You've identified a real need in the market, and you've developed a compelling solution. I'm willing to offer you seed funding in exchange for a minority stake in your company." Alex and Sarah exchanged a triumphant glance. They had done it. They had secured the funding they needed to bring Empowerly to life. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. They used the funding to hire a small team of talented developers, designers, and marketers. They worked tirelessly to build out the Empowerly platform, incorporating feedback from early users and constantly iterating on their design. Sarah, with her coding expertise, led the development team, ensuring that the platform was both powerful and user-friendly. Alex, drawing on his experience interacting with customers at the Daily Grind, focused on marketing and customer acquisition. He knew how to connect with small business owners, understand their needs, and communicate the value of Empowerly in a way that resonated with them. They launched their marketing campaign with a series of targeted ads on social media and search engines. They offered free trials of Empowerly to attract new users, and they focused on building a strong community around their platform, providing helpful resources and fostering a sense of collaboration among their users. Slowly but surely, Empowerly began to gain traction. Small businesses across the country started signing up for the platform, drawn by its ease of use, its affordability, and its ability to empower them to compete in the digital age. Alex, now the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company, often found himself reflecting on his journey from a mundane barista life to a successful tech entrepreneur. It was a surreal transformation, one that he never could have imagined just a few years ago. He remembered the long hours he spent wiping down tables at the Daily Grind, the frustration he felt with the repetitive tasks, and the yearning he had for something more. He remembered the skepticism he faced from friends and family when he announced his decision to quit his job and learn to code. And he remembered the countless nights he spent hunched over his laptop, struggling to master the intricacies of programming languages. But through it all, he never gave up. He persevered through the challenges, learned from his mistakes, and remained focused on his vision. He had a clear understanding of the problem he wanted to solve, a relentless work ethic, and the unwavering support of his mentor and partner, Sarah. One evening, Alex found himself back at the Daily Grind, the place where his entrepreneurial journey had begun. He ordered a latte from Mrs. Davison, his former manager, who greeted him with a warm smile and a knowing wink. "So, Mr. Tech Mogul," she said, handing him his drink, "what brings you back to our humble establishment?" "Just wanted to see how things are going," Alex replied, taking a sip of his latte. "And to thank you for your support. You were one of the first people who believed in me." "I always knew you had something special," Mrs. Davison said. "You always had a knack for solving problems and making things better. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished." As Alex sat there, sipping his latte and watching the baristas go about their work, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He was grateful for the opportunities he had been given, for the people who had supported him along the way, and for the lessons he had learned. His journey was a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of mentorship, and the potential that lies within each and every one of us. It proved that anyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, can achieve their dreams with the right mindset and determination. Alex knew that the road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but he was confident that he and his team could overcome any obstacle as long as they remained focused on their mission, to empower small businesses and help them succeed in the digital age. He finished his latte, said goodbye to Mrs. Davison, and stepped back out into the bustling city streets. As he walked towards his office, he couldn't help but smile. He was living proof that anything is possible. Now, it's your turn. What's your biggest obstacle to starting your own business? What's the one thing holding you back from pursuing your entrepreneurial dreams? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found Alex's story inspiring, be sure to subscribe for more stories of unexpected success and entrepreneurial journeys. Who knows? Maybe your story will be featured next.